Marvel's Spider-Man 2 was one of my most anticipated games of all time, and after 100% platinuming it, if I have to describe my overall experience in a nutshell, it goes something like this.
So good.
But I have to admit, it does have some very major issues, ones that these sellout early access review copy doofuses won't tell you about, but I will, because I'm strong like that, straight like that, straight like that. So get yourself some refreshments, because this is a long one.
Title your sex tape. Too soon? Alright, let's go.
Once again, we begin with the music. This damn guy, bro. John Paisano is one of the best, if not the best, modern day superhero music composer, and he proves that yet again with this game. Bro is him. Every note, every instrumental choice, every little spin he puts on the main theme. The OST is made up of straight up banger after banger that breathes so much life and emotion into every scene. This music is so much of the reason the big moments actually feel grandiose in scale. And man, everything he does with the black suit themes is nothing short of magical. But all my homies know, nothing will ever come close to this goat right here. The only real complaints I have with the music are that this game doesn't have many banger songs like Spider-Man Miles Morales did, and that a lot of the OST isn't as prominent or memorable as it was in Spider-Man 1, especially while free roaming. Like, there's no track while exploring that gets stuck in your head like City of Hope or the Golden Age from the first game. But other than that, the music is straight heat. DJ, turn that shit up! What's also straight heat is the traversal here. The traversal system in Spider-Man 2 is so smooth it gives your dad's bald head a run for its money. This game's traversal carries over everything from the previous games and just adds and improves upon it tremendously. The most obvious new addition is the web wings, aka the wingsuit. If you use it correctly, you can practically keep flying in this game. The vents in the city boost you up like Dying Light 2. Plus there are wind tunnels around the city which basically do this. Who knew a Spider-Man game was also gonna be the best Superman game? Now I'm gonna be honest, I don't like how the web wings just completely eliminate the point of swinging in areas with wind tunnels. But then comes the beta male argument, then just don't use the wind tunnels. And to that I say, if they are going in the direction you wanna go in, why would you not use the wind tunnels? It is the fastest mode of transport in this game, second only to the super slingshots, which aren't as abundant as this. Seriously, when you get into a wind tunnel, you can just put the controller down and the game will practically play by itself. It's not a player's problem, it's a balancing issue on the developer's part. In a game about the web slinger, in any scenario, nothing should be straight up eliminating the incentive of web slinging altogether. I'm not saying that the wind tunnels shouldn't have been in the game in the first place, I'm just saying there should have been less of them. But coming back on track before I give your mom my sack, if you want to have more control, travel efficiently, and go as fast as you can everywhere, not just in areas with wind tunnels, you do need to switch between swinging and wingsuiting. The sound design is phenomenal. You can actually hear Spidey cutting through the wind as he rushes through the air. There are more animations, more tricks to swinging transitions, more moves to do while traversing which increase thoughtfulness. For example, these buttery smooth corner turns, and my absolute favorite move in the game, the Tobey Maguire loop-de-loop. Hell, the water doesn't even stop your momentum now, as you can surf on it like it's Sunset Overdrive or some shit. Please watch my Sunset Overdrive video. There's also the slingshot and its big titty stepmom, the super slingshot, which basically turns Spidey into a f***ing rocket. And now that we are on the topic of speed, the traversal speed in this game is absolutely insane. It is like 3 times quicker than the previous games. You can go sensationally fast, especially when you unlock some of the traversal speed upgrades, and the sense of rush here is unmatched. Combining all the new tricks you have at your disposal with returning ones like the spider jump and spider dash is just so unbelievably speedy and satisfying, it's ridiculous, man. Now remember when I said this in my review of the first game? But for me, the biggest gripe with the swinging system is, and I mentioned this in my Amazing Spider-Man 2 video, is that it can be too accessible for its own good. Well, setting the swing assist to 0 pretty much solves most of it, and for me, makes this a near perfect Spider-Man swinging system. All the footage you're seeing here is with swing assist disabled, as that is how I played the entire game. The floatiness becomes almost non-existent, and you can actually fail a web swing when close to the ground. Where your webs attach actually makes a difference. The momentum is carried over and lost way more realistically. Like, man, it's a completely different experience, and I would highly recommend everyone playing this game to try Zero Swing Assist at least once. Now that being said, I still have some returning issues with the Traversal. Even at Zero Swing Assist, the swinging does not feel as physics-based as it should. The normal wall climbing still feels like an afterthought, and games from 10 years ago do it better than this game. And Spidey automatically letting go of the web line is an actual sin, especially in this game because we have moves like the loop-de-loop here, and it just takes away from the creative freedom of the player. But looking at the bigger picture, I can definitively say that this is a god-tier traversal system and probably the best swinging system out of all Spider-Man games in its own right. Seriously, the movement system in Spider-Man 2 is such a massive leap from the previous games that I can no longer see myself going back to their traversal systems. By the way, if you're enjoying this video till now, please be sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot and I really appreciate it, my dudes. The stealth is very similar to how it was in Spider-Man Miles Morales with all the different types of takedowns. The only major additions in terms of stealth are the new double takedowns and the new webline feature where you can create a web tightrope of sorts and take down enemies from above. But I'm gonna be honest here, I spent more time with it outside of stealth, mainly trying to feel like this. I actually think that the stealth in this game is worse than the stealth in the first game, mainly because of the lack of gadgets like the trip mine and the web bomb. What should have happened is that Peter should have had the gadgets from the first game so that he at least has something to compete with Miles' invisibility powers for stealth. I'm actually disappointed with the gadgets in this game in general, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. But yeah, overall I would personally pick Spider-Man 1's stealth over this, even if it meant not having moves like the ceiling and wall takedowns. Stealth is very mediocre, but the actual fun of the game lies in the head-on combat because it has actually received some noticeable upgrades. The new enemy variety is hit or miss. For example, enemies like the robot dogs and the flamethrower dudes are alright, but not as good as the demons or the Sable agents. But on the flip side, there are really good additions like the multiple different types of mini bosses, and not to mention that the main boss fights are a straight up night and day difference. They are not just incredibly fun, but are way better than the previous game. These are definitely one of the highlights of the game, and some of my favorite moments in this entire game actually come from the boss fight. And so do I. The bosses have health bars now, thank God. The fights escalate and become tougher by incorporating new stuff with each subsequent phase. You actually have to pay attention and download the enemies' movesets now. I actually died a few times during some of these boss fights. I played on the spectacular difficulty, and it's not that this is a difficult game, it's just that there's more thoughtfulness that goes into the combat now compared to the previous games. You can also parry attacks now, and it is cunningly satisfying. Some moves can't be dodged and some moves can't be parried, so now you have to pay more attention during the combat. The sense of impact is greater with that absolutely magical DualSense controller feedback, but I did notice that the combat sound effects in some places are actually way worse compared to the previous games. Like, listen to this finisher in Spider-Man 1 compared to Spider-Man 2. How did we go from epic impact to wet floor mop sounds? One move I really miss from the first game that isn't in this one is the quick dodge instant takedown on raged enemies. It's a bummer you can't do that anymore. Overall though, there are more new moves now to combo seamlessly with. Some of these are, you can now swing kick and then launch enemies further into the air, bounce them off the ground, slide under them in midair as well, and then fucking bonk them on the head. There's just a lot more opportunity for keeping the combat in the air now. And not just that, on the ground you can now bully enemies like this. Guys, whenever you're having a bad day, just remember that at least you're not this guy. Or absolutely turn their bones into powder just like this.
Jesus Christ.
Even more devastating are the special moves. Miles carries over all his special moves from his game like the Venom Punch, the Venom Dash, the Venom Blast and more. But he also gets these new blue lightning venom moves like the Lightning Strike and this Reelin Lightning Blast. Peter, on the other hand, has literal other hands now in the form of spider arms with moves like the Spider Barrage and the Spider Rush, which is basically a fucking torpedo. Holy shit, he just straight up murdered that dude.
But wait! There's more!
When Peter gets the symbiote suit, you also get access to special moves like the symbiote launch, the symbiote blast, and replacing Miles' Venom Blast is the symbiote surge mode.
Use your help!
This is basically a rage mode which recharges over time, and when it is activated, Spidey goes batshit crazy and starts absolutely annihilating these fools. Like literally cleaning house, mopping the floor with these poor bastards. You unlock and upgrade these moves by either progressing through the story or buying them in the skill trees. And while we are on the topic of skill trees, let's talk about the upgrade system in the game. First up, we have 3 skill trees, one for Peter, one for Miles, and a shared one. Just like the last game, you level up, gain skill points to buy new moves. The only issue I have here is that I don't like how you have to buy some of the moves from the previous games again. Next, you have your basic upgrades like focus, traversal speed, damage, health and all, which are called suit tech for no damn reason. Like, come on bruh. What does the suit have to do with what Spider-Man does with these hands? And finally, you got the gadgets, which can be bought and upgraded in the gadgets section. In Spider-Man 2, both Miles and Peter have the same 4 gadgets: the ricochet web, the air launchers, the sonic blast, and this web grabber thing, which is probably my favorite out of the bunch. Now, although these are more seamless than ever to use in combat and you aren't required to open a separate menu for them, I can't help but feel let down by the gadgets here. There are less gadgets here than the first game, and the ones that do exist aren't nearly as fun to use, whether it be in stealth or in head-on combat. Furthermore, sometimes it makes the game feel like it has less creative room for combat experimentation than the first game. Moving on, just like the previous games, Peter and Miles both have their own separate attack animations and finishers, which now also integrate their new powers and abilities. Hell, they can now even tag team these fools like it's WWE or some shit. I wish the standard attack animations of the black suit were also different outside of the surge mode as well. That would have also been really cool. A few more problems I'd like to mention with the combat are: first, Spider-Man's hitbox can still be absolute dogshit at times. Second, there are no suit powers in the game anymore. All the suits are purely cosmetic, so you can no longer do moves like this. Third, the combat starts feeling a little repetitive a bit earlier now, especially if you have played the previous games as much as I have, because even with the new additions, it is very similar to its predecessors. Now, before we move on to the open world, I have to talk about the technical and visual aspects of the game, because this is not just one of the best looking games ever made graphically, but it is also a technical marvel in every aspect. There's ray tracing everywhere and on all graphical modes. The character models, even for the random NPCs, are remarkable for an open world game. There are so many pedestrians, cars, buildings, vegetation, reflections. Like, the sense of density this game has is truly special. It also helps that Spider-Man 2 is also more vibrant than its predecessors. Like, the colors here just pop. That, accompanied with the stunning lighting, weather, skybox, and every other thing I mentioned before, makes this one of the most eye-candy video games ever made. Load times here are practically non-existent, just like the presence of bitches in the lives of anime fans. You can fast travel anywhere, switch between Peter and Miles, and load into the game almost instantly. This is one of the select few cases where using the term next-gen game isn't a cringe bomb. The performance is also great. There are moments where there are so many enemies, particles, and jizz flying all over the screen, but the game never has frame rate hiccups. The map of New York in Spider-Man 2 is denser, prettier, and more alive than ever before. And it is also bigger than ever before, just like my dick. New to the map are the 2 boroughs of Brooklyn and Queens. You can now visit places like Miles' Brooklyn Visions Academy, Aunt May's home where Peter lives now, and my personal favorite spot on the map, Coney Island. Now, this new expanded map does pose a few caveats, like the boundary here is a little jarring now, since in the last game the invisible wall was mainly over water, but here in Brooklyn and Queens it's on land. Also, gameplay wise, these new areas are borderline pointless, as they don't really add much other than the fact that in some areas the buildings aren't tall enough to swing properly at 0 assist. I would have preferred if a more functional approach was used for the map expansion. But yeah, now you can switch between Peter and Miles during free roam, and that again is almost instant. Spider-Man 2 has 65 suits, with many suits having different suit styles, so over 200 suit combinations. But let's slow down there for a bit, chump, because we all know what we're really here for. Walking the streets is still mesmerizing. The pedestrian variety is way better. There are a lot more cars on the streets than ever before. You can actually see people through the windows of the buildings. There are also so many more random interactions with the civilians here. So once again, this really feels like a living, breathing city, and this game captures it so well. But what do you actually do on this map? First off, I really appreciate how there's no towers to reveal the map now, and the game doesn't bombard you with all the activities at once like a Ubisoft checklist bullshit. You discover them gradually through exploration exploration, which is exactly the way it should be. Not to mention that seeing an activity happening from the distance without the need to open the map makes the city more alive as well. Now I'll talk about the side missions in the story section of this video, but other than them, the photo ops return, and this time you take pictures of people engaging in various activities, which is nice and adds to the life of the city a bit, but honestly, it just cannot capture the wow factor that the first game had with photographing landmarks like this. You have hunter blinds, which are small outposts, completing 3 of which leads to a bigger outpost, of which there are only 3 in the game. I'ma be frank here, the outposts are fun, but they are not as fun and as chaotic as the first game. We have spider bots now, which are cool visually, but aren't anywhere nearly as interesting, nor offer anything of actual value like the backpacks did.
An Oscorp visitor badge from when I interviewed there. Would have paid well, but Dr. Octavius offered the chance to really make a difference.
You motherfucker!
Then we have Marco's Memories, which are basically small outposts with sand enemies. These aren't really fun gameplay wise, but offer good lore and have a nice payoff once you complete them all. There's these vulture drone chases, which are fast and fun, just like me in bed with your sister. Peter specific EMF missions, which are basically research station missions from the first games, which are alright. Miles specific Mysterio challenges, which are basically the combat challenges from his game, but infinitely better. Like, getting gold on these can actually be challenging now, which is great. I don't care about the lack of stealth challenges since the stealth system in the game is not good, but I really don't understand which doofus had the idea to not put any traversal challenges in the game which has the best traversal system in the series. There's also Miles specific prowler stashes, which are really unremarkable. What really sucks are the random events. This game has less variety in random events than both Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man Miles Morales. Hell, Spider-Man 2 on the PS2 has better random events than this game. Carrying civilians to safety is the only new thing they added, and meanwhile they removed stuff like bomb defusal, fights inside stores, snipers and all. Like, this game literally has only 3 types of random events: the car chases, assaults or bases, and webbing up burning buildings or trucks. That's it. It's literally the same shit again and again and again.
Until we're both dead. Is that what you want?
But Gaming 10, you also get to team up with Miles sometimes and then do the funny finger pointing meme.
Boom!
And unlike the first game, you can't even replay anything other than the Mysterio challenges. So this means that these few less good versions of random events are all you get to do in the end game, and they are unbelievably repetitive. Matter of fact, you don't even get to do these a lot of the times. Even with the latest update at the time of publishing this video, these events just bug out and disappear right in front of your eyes. And it's not a very occasional thing. This happens a lot. And I mean, that's another thing with Spider-Man 2. I got more than 2 bugs in my time with this game. Here this tree didn't load in. Here that woman just turned into the Flash. Here everyone turned into a fucking tube light. This guy's having the worst day of his life. Meanwhile, these 2 bozos are casually sitting on nothing while Spider-Man is beating ass in a hunter base. Here Miles started tweaking, probably because of how shit that suit is. And if you thought that was it,
you are dead drunk.
Because I experienced game-breaking issues as well. Here I got locked inside an invisible barrier and I had to restart the game to fix it, and here it just completely crashed on me. I remember that back in 2018, even without the day 1 update, Spider-Man 1 was way more polished than this game. Overall, the side activities are okay, I guess, but if you have played the first game, these will just feel like less fun, dumbed down versions of Spider-Man 1's activities. Like, other than the traversal mechanics, the first game is just way more fun to play after story completion. And that finally brings us to the story. Spider-Man 2 yet again begins with an absolute banger of an opening with Swing by Earth Gang blasting in the background as you see 2 Spider-Man head on to fight a giant Sandman in what might be one of the best video game openings ever. Like, goddamn bro, what is it with Sony games and absolutely badonker openings? This opening section teaches you about all the basics of the game and sends a statement that says,
"You can stop whining about the boss fights now, bitch."
A lot of crazy gameplay happens, and then eventually Peter and Miles hop on that Thor and Iron Man shit to finally lay out the Sandman. Once Sandman's captured, he mentions a threat coming for the city. Then the game cuts back to 6 months ago and you're introduced to Kraven as he sets his sights on New York.
The great hunt begins.
The rest of it is up to you to find out, and I won't spoil anything major. Let's talk about the good first. Miles and his inner struggle of choosing between revenge for his father's death and being a hero is executed incredibly well. Peter and his relationship with Harry is the beating heart of this game. This is the most likable version of Harry Osborn in my opinion. Spider-Man 2 has one of my favorite representations of the friendship that these two have across all forms of media. This game really takes some ideas from the movies that didn't work there and makes them work here. Although I do think there should should have been less normal human gameplay sections in the game. Believe me, there's too much of that here. Harry and Peter are the reason why I love some of these smaller down-to-earth moments where they just ride a bike or play some games at the carnival. I also absolutely adore how this story shows Spider-Man's stubbornness in saving lives even for the villains, and it also reminds me of this masterpiece of a scene.
No, Frank, to try. Again, Frank. To try.
Now on the opposite side of that argument, I like how Kraven comes off as this bad motherfucker, like one of those villains who are beyond redeeming.
There are no good men.
And a lot of what this game does with the black suit is also handled really well. The black suit itself feels like it's alive, which I know is the point, but so many Spider-Man stories fail to actually realize that like this game does. There are so many great moments that come from this, and the Venom scenes here are just phenomenal. Venom is really a force to be reckoned with in this game. There's a sense of tension every time this dude is on screen. Tony Todd, without a doubt, is the best voice for Venom, hands down.
We want to show you something.
The acting in the game overall is S tier, but someone check on my man Yuri Lowenthal because his back must be hurting from carrying this story so much. There are times where his acting is literally the only reason why some story beats work.
The truth is, I'm the hero here, not you.
The range he has with his transformation into the black suit is incredible, and this right here is one of my favorite video game acting performances of all time.
Wow.
I already talked about the boss fights here and how insane they are, and the set pieces are no different. They are absolutely bizarre with utterly phenomenal choreography and cinematography.
Check this out though. First of all, you throwing too many big words at me.
I also really appreciate how they are more integrated with the gameplay this time around. The main missions here are a lot of fun to play through, and I appreciate how they aim for more variety this time. Although, as I mentioned before, we should have had more Spider-Man missions in place of some of the human gameplay missions. There are just too many here in my opinion. And let's not forget the side missions. Some side missions can be done by both Peter and Miles, while some are specific to either one of them. I'm gonna be honest, all the side missions that can be done by Peter are such a bombastic upgrade from the previous games. Like, some of my favorite moments in the entire game lie in his side missions. They dive even further into the friendly neighborhood aspect of Spider-Man with their writing. Yes, the Flame storyline is cool, and the Wraith boss fight is challengingly fun, although I don't understand how this woman with no superpowers can take so many hits and still stand, let alone fight a superhero. Like, I don't care how hard Peter pulls his punches, ain't no way this bitch went on to have a two-phase boss fight with Spider-Man, bro. It's all so goofy. But coming back, what will forever remain ingrained in my memory are the moments where Spider-Man is just being a shoulder to rely on for these unfortunate people who have been through and are yet to go through so much in life. I will remember him reminiscing about his early days as a photographer while helping a newcomer. I will remember the conversation he has with an old man about love, how he proposed to and misses his late wife so much, and how fragile human life can be. I will remember the Howard mission and this one line that he said that made me feel a slight pain in my chest.
Not many folks have been kind to me in my life.
This right here is peak Spider-Man. This is gameplay in service to the storytelling, which makes it even sadder how fucking abysmal and nonsensical some of the Miles specific side missions in Spider-Man 2 really are. I am 100% serious when I say that Miles has some of the worst side missions I've ever played in a video game. Like this one right here where you have to help a gay dude ask his crush out for homecoming. Oh my god, my baby is trapped in that burning building. Where's Spider-Man? We have our sources telling us that Spider-Man is actually over at Brooklyn Vision's Academy playing gay matchmaker. Or this one, where in a Spider-Man game, I am playing as a deaf and mute girl on an unbelievably boring mission, which by the way has no sound to really make you feel like a deaf person. Bro, what if this bitch was blind too? Would I just be staring at a black screen then? I don't know why Miles even likes her, bro. She has like no personality. Not to mention she's graffitiing. That's literally a crime. Miles, hand her over to the police. Another big problem with the side missions is that some of them just end up acting as setups for conflicts to be resolved in later games when there was absolutely no need to do so. Come on, bruh. I just waited years for this game and you're not even gonna give a good payoff for these storylines? That's so cheap. That brings us to more major problems with the story. First, the pacing. Spider-Man 2 has so many great ideas, but they all feel like they're fighting each other for screen time. Like Craven's hunts or Peter's descent into darkness with the black suit. Since we don't get to spend a lot of time with Peter, Breaking Bad if I may, some of the black suit scenes end up coming off as out of nowhere funny gags rather than earned moments. We don't really get to spend a good amount of time really exploring any one particular plot point. And as a result, some things feel rushed at times, especially towards the third act of the game. Everything just goes by so fast. If this game was like 5 or 6 hours longer than it is, this pacing would have been way better, especially during the final act of the game. Second, Mary Jane. Now I have to speak on this. What the f is up with Western game studios and especially Insomniac Games' obsession with changing the character models and making women uglier? Forget the fact that comic book accuracy-wise, Mary Jane Watson is literally supposed to be model material. She is so ugly here compared to the last game that these hunters just froze at the very sight of her. Putting this version of MJ side by side to bootleg Tom Holland here makes the issue of him looking too young even worse because she looks like a single mother of 2. It's so ironic that the demographic you're trying to pander to with this self-insert bullshit doesn't even play your games in the first place. Moving on, now she has the taser from the start and it even has a web shooter attached to it now. Don't get it twisted though, the stealth is still absolutely trash. In fact, it is even worse than before because the enemies are so brain dead now, you can literally run up to them and they won't even be able to hear or do anything about it. The only meat writers who can praise this shit are the people who have never played a stealth game in their lives. What I have a bigger problem with is what she does to the story. Everything about Spider-Man 2's plot becomes an absolute joke whenever MJ is on screen. Ooh, we didn't remove the MJ gameplay sections even though they were universally hated because we wanted to show you things from the perspective of a normal person. Bro, a normal person doesn't just take an arrow to the shoulder, pull it out, brush it off and never even mention it again like nothing ever happened. She just undermines the entire threat that the bad guys pose to the city. These are supposed to be hunters specifically chosen by Craven because he considers them worthy predators. If this 55 kg barely trained reporter can clear out an entire base full of them with just some stealth and a damn web shooter duct taped to a stun gun, why the fuck do we even need the Spider-Man? There's not much chemistry between her and Peter as there was in the first game. She comes off as an absolutely insufferable brat majority of the times and her inclusion in the story feels extremely forced. Like in this game, it really seems that somehow this studio and its writers truly believe that she is an equal to a literal superhero. Get the fuck out of here, game. Third, inconsistent writing. Many times things will be happening just for the sake of the story and in a way that makes no sense at all. And the character who gets the worst end of this stick is Peter Parker. This game does my boy Peter dirty, and I mean dirty with a capital D as big as Johnny Sins' penis just to make the other characters seem more important. There are multiple times where Peter gets unbelievably nerfed just as an excuse to give the spotlight to another character, which is one of the most hated writing tropes in all of media. One minute he's getting thrown through buildings, taking rockets to the face and brushing them off, catching and throwing roller coasters with ease and juggling cars like they're weightless, and in the next he gets his shit handed to him in the most relatively basic of situations and needs to be saved. This game has a huge problem with cohesion between gameplay and cutscenes. Like, it left me wondering if the gameplay is even canon to the story. This somehow doesn't feel like the version of Spider-Man that kicked the Sinister Six's ass. Insomniac's Peter Parker being an experienced Spider-Man was one of the biggest marketing points for the first game, but here it seems like Insomniac Games themselves forgot that this is supposed to be a Spider-Man with 10 years of experience under his belt. Because there are times here where he somehow feels less powerful, less experienced, and less competent in Spider-Man 2 than he did in Spider-Man 1. Like during problems or threats that he could have handled alone before, he now requires Miles.
Spider-Man, I need your help!
No you don't, just use your webs, dumbass! And now that I've mentioned Miles, if you've watched my Miles Morales review, you know how much I adored my boy in that game, but here, bro is literally a walking ad. I don't like when this game just comes off as wanting to force feed to you that he is somehow better than Peter, which makes absolutely zero sense. Hell, eventually the writers just give up and Peter just straight up says,
Maybe MJ was right. Why would the city need me when it has you?
Stop the cap.
That is not what Miles was intended to represent in these games. Like, I don't get why you would do all this shit, and oh, now I get it. Spider-Man 2 just doesn't seem to handle its characters with the same level of sincerity and care that the first game did. I genuinely hate to say this, but there really is some super forced bullshit propaganda here that completely rips out the quality of the storytelling at times in order to push some sort of brain-dead agenda. Overall, I did enjoy the story, but there were times where I was literally infuriated by how dumb and illogical some of these moments were, and all I could think to myself was,
Well, that's just lazy writing.
There's a few more problems I'd like to mention before we get to my final thoughts. There's no mission replaying, New Game Plus still isn't out yet. Also, this is a 2023 open world game that still doesn't have a dynamic day and night or weather cycle, and that is utterly inexcusable and laughable now. Hell, after you've completed the game, there's not even an option to switch the time of day or weather like the last two games. This is a $70 game that can be 100% platinumed in 20 hours, so it is a literal f***ing crime that there was absolutely zero emphasis put on the replayability here. In conclusion, while overall Spider-Man 2 is a good game by all means, there are a lot of problems here that stop it from being a masterpiece like the first game. It just doesn't feel as sincere and as decent with this approach with a lot of stuff, and at times it straight up loses its grasp on what made the previous games so good. Even if you're a recent subscriber to the channel, you know how much I adore this character, so it pains me to say this, but I don't recommend that you get this game at full price and wait for a discount.